Hey, so Destiny with New Wave Feminist here. I decided that I should probably do a video because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. The universe is officially done with me talking, I think. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of address a few things. I've still got a lot of reporters calling, wanting to hear about how the Women's March on Washington went. And I figured it would be good to just kind of have one official statement about all of that. A lot of them also call and ask, explain New Wave Feminists, what exactly is this group? So basically, New Wave Feminists is a pro-life feminist group. We subscribe to the consistent life ethic, which basically just means that we believe human beings should be, free from violence for the duration of their life. So we're anti-war, anti-death penalty, anti-torture. We also extend that into the womb. So we are anti-abortion. We view that as a form of violence. And I know that a lot of people don't, and that's kind of the crux of this issue. For them, the unborn person is not a real human being. The other day, Whoopi Goldberg was on The View, and she was talking about how, if you don't like abortion, don't have one. And if you believe that, this is just a blob of tissue that's being aborted, then I totally agree. We're completely overreacting if that's the case. But what you have to understand is that we do believe that this is a unique genetic being with its own heartbeat and DNA and brain waves. And so for us, it is violence against another person's body. So just like I wouldn't be okay with you walking out and shooting someone else because I'm not the one doing it, it still is violent oppression of another being. So consistent life ethic encompasses all of that. The really cool thing is because it is a consistent philosophy of nonviolence, we agree with so many people on both sides. And due to that, when we went to the Women's March on Washington, we were able to find a lot of like-minded individuals. It ended up being one of the most positive experiences of my life. That morning I talked to my husband, and he's like, remember, you have children, and do you know who you would contact if something went awry, if there was any type of confrontation? And now it's like almost laughable that that's where my mind was at, because we were met with nothing but positivity. And I think it was a really cool thing we lucked out, because a lot of people, the very first time they hear of this concept of pro-life feminism, they tend to, have a really strong reaction. That's an oxymoron. You can't be a pro-life feminist, even though Hillary Clinton said you can, but whatever. And so this way, because it was in the news media for a week prior surrounding the march, a lot of people kind of had to come to their own conclusion. And the really cool thing is that I think women are capable of seeing, okay, I don't agree with that, but I understand where someone could be coming from on that issue. And so it was wonderful how many women came up and said, I don't agree with you when it comes to abortion being, taking the life of an innocent child, but I'm still glad you're here to represent your viewpoint. Like, keep going, And I do think that we're making such immense headway when it comes to expanding the scope of feminism. We've had so many women reach out to us in this last week and say, I never thought I could call myself a feminist. Or, I was in this group of friends and we would do feminist activities, but a lot of times I couldn't participate because all the donations would go to Planned Parenthood or something I disagreed with, and I didn't feel like I could even, say anything about that. And so now we've got this kind of sleeping giant of women who perhaps were not as active as they could have been in helping, because they didn't feel like they could voice their opinions, that they subscribe to the consistent life ethic also. And so it's been such an encouraging, wonderful experience. It could not have gone any better. I think the neat thing about New Wave Feminists is we have a group that is so incredibly diverse. We have, Buddhist and Muslims and atheists and Catholics and all of these different backgrounds of women who, I've been a little, controlling of this like tiny lady gang we have, because I love it so much, and the idea of it blowing up and becoming bigger is exciting, but at the same time I'm gonna miss the fact that we just have some of the most amazing dialogues on our page, because it is different women from different backgrounds. For example, I personally was a never Trumper, but there were women on my page who supported Donald Trump, and at first my opinion was like, are you stupid? Why would any woman support Donald Trump? And then I realized how I was completely invalidating those women's thoughts. and personal experiences by saying something that, completely ridiculous now I can see. I travel to do public speaking, and I go through these rural areas that are completely wasting away, and I don't know that life, and so I don't understand, the issues that a lot of people in those communities are having and why they want to see such a change in Washington. And it was only through open dialogue with people that I disagreed with that I finally understood, okay, you have valid reasons. I still might not agree with them, but you have completely valid reasons for why you would support someone like President Trump. And for a lot of other people, I think it's the fact that there was an R behind his name, or, he wore this label of pro-life. Whether he really is pro-life or not, I don't know. It might just be a smart political move for him. But I can say I think one of the most dangerous things we ever did was make the life issue a partisan issue. This should be a human rights issue. We should all be talking about that. Once we make it just one party has that platform, then basically the GOP is able to activate a huge base of voters because they're one-issue voters. I personally was a one-issue voter until this last election. That's another question I'm getting a lot. If you're never Trump, that must mean that you voted for Hillary. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I actually ended up writing in Evan McMullen. So I do think that, again, once we have open dialogue with people and start to understand where they're coming from, we can see so much more about, why they make the choices they do. And I think that once we start understanding, especially the choice to terminate a pregnancy, all that surrounds that and why a woman would decide that abortion, is her only option. Because a lot of times I do think that is how women feel. They're going to be kicked out of their home. It's not even a matter of not having a support system for this child. Once they have it, they might lose their existing support system. And so once we realize that that's the root of the problem, no little girl grows up, thinking, oh, I can't wait to have my first abortion. Nobody wants an abortion. This is something that is completely a decision made out of fear and panic and chaos. And when we can remove that chaos and we can say, you know what, you don't have the support system that you need, so let us find that for you in your community. Let us surround you. That is the pro-life movement that I know. We have created this narrative that it's the people with the bullhorns and the signs and, this bumper sticker rhetoric. Abortion's murder, my body, my choice, like all these things that we throw out, but it's a very nuanced issue, and there is so much more we need to be talking about. And the real pro-life movement are the people who are giving up their nights and weekends and the extra room in their house to a woman who has been kicked out because she is pregnant. Like, that is the pro-life movement that nobody sees. All of the love, and it is incredibly pro-woman. And I think if that's the only message I can get out there, I really want people to understand the pro-life movement is incredibly pro-woman. And now I'm gonna go lose my voice and drink some more NyQuil. So anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I just thought of one more thing I want to add. There are zero hard feelings towards the organizers of the Women's March on Washington. They were doing the best that they could. I've tried to explain that in every single interview that I've done since day one. I think a lot of reporters want it to be negative. That's what makes news. But I run a pro-life feminist group. I am used to people hating on us from every side of everything. This should not be a divisive issue. They caved under the pressure of a lot of backlash and removed us, and I completely understand why they would do that. It's not a big deal. At this point, of course, we have gotten a national conversation going about what it means to be a feminist and if you can be a pro-life feminist. And I think that's always going to be good for feminism. And, I've been joking that I need to send Bob Bland and Jessica Valenti fruit baskets, for the exposure that pro-life feminism has received. So there's definitely no hard feelings in any way about that. And I just want to make it very clear, there never has been. New Wave Feminists is not trying to be divisive in any way. We knew once our name was off the website, really nothing had changed. We were planning on marching. We were still going to be marching. And we're so glad that we did, because it really was so cool to just stand there with that many other women. And just the kindness and positivity that radiated off of them. I know there have been reports about some kind of negative things that happen, and I can't speak to those experiences because we honestly did not have anything negative. I think the closest we had, I had a sign that said, hey Trump, torture is not pro-life. And then on the other side of it, I had my I am a pro-life feminist sign. So someone saw the torture side and she said, oh, I agree with that. Yeah, that's a good one. Can I get a picture of that sign? And then she leans into me and says, you know, I think a lot of these pro-lifers are just pro-birth. And I said, you know what? I think there's certainly some of those, but we're definitely trying to change that. And then I kind of flipped my sign around so she saw it, and she just smiled at me and laughed and was like, oh, okay. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was just light and joy and wonderful. And there wasn't any negativity on our end in any way. And now, of course, we're excited about doing the March for Life this week, which hopefully we will see a lot of overlap. Women who participated in both marches. That would be wonderful. Okay, now I really am done.